Hello, I'm Logan Crawford, and welcome to NFT Studio 24 podcast session. NFT Studio 24 is a media news website. NFT Studio 24 is also a global media platform dedicated to empowering the emerging world of blockchain and Web3. Our vision is to help highlight companies and individuals' contributions to the industry in hopes of conveying the right message to our global audience. NFT Studio 24 will soon be launching a Metaverse for All campaign in India, Japan, Vietnam, Pakistan, and Africa to help educate 3 million people, especially young students and adult learners, about Web3 and Metaverse. We believe education is the key to development, and NFT Studio 24 is offering certificates of experience and research to learners. Simply sign up with NFT Studio 24, read and research different case studies on nftstudio24.com, pass the exam, and you will receive a certificate in the future. Today, we are interviewing Dev Sharma, the CEO of Blockwiz, a global crypto marketing and PR agency. Dev has been working in the field of crypto marketing for 7 years now and was also part of various cryptocurrency-based firms in a variety of positions. As CEO of one of the largest crypto marketing agencies in the world, he deeply understands the importance of quality digital marketing to reach the right users for cryptocurrency projects. Dev, we are delighted to have you on our show today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Logan, for the introduction. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you and everyone listening in as well.
Absolutely. Why don't we start by giving our viewers a little introduction. Tell us about yourself and about your crypto marketing agency, Blockwiz.
Sure. So I've been here a long time. I've been, by crypto standards, that is. I've been in the industry doing crypto marketing for over 7 years now. I started way back in 2015. This was, Web3 wasn't even, what it is right now. There was no industry. All you had back then was exchanges, and ICOs was the popular way of launching your project. So back then it was a lot about airdrops. It was a lot about how do you get to build a community. And I was very fortunate enough to be associated with some very good brands right out of college. So I had a master's in marketing and IT, and I got intrigued in the world of cryptocurrency and haven't looked back since. So as you mentioned earlier, I worked at a few brands in their regional markets. I helped them go to market, and that's when in about 2019, I formed Blockwiz. We're a leading strategic crypto marketing agency. We're about 60 people now, 3 years in. We work with 300 plus clients, and I'm very fortunate to have the kind of growth story we've had. And I'm looking forward to getting a nice conversation here, as well as getting to know what the future of crypto marketing really lies for all of us here.
Absolutely. Now, according to your article in Cointelegraph, you've been quite interested in marketing ever since you were a student, as you just mentioned. What motivated you, rather, to join the crypto industry?
So it was less motivation and more of a funny coincidence. It's a short story, but an interesting one. So a friend of mine, he's an ethical hacker. He kind of exposed vulnerability in one of the popular food tech startups. I'm not going to name which one, but he basically went in and exposed their entire client list, right? And now he was looking for a bug bounty. So he emailed them back with the actual customer records, and those guys just freaked out. So they didn't want to acknowledge that this happened. So they didn't want to pay a bounty as well, because that would have been on their books. So they emailed him saying, hey, we can offer you something called Bitcoin in return for your efforts. And we're going to fix this. Thank you so much for letting us know. And my friend, I distinctly remember we were in a cafeteria, and he came to me saying, are these guys scamming me? They're giving me something called Bitcoin instead of money. And that night we actually researched it, and I fell in love with it. I had a marketing and IT background, and I knew that was my calling. So that's how I stumbled into the industry. And it was more so of that than, I'd be lying to say, oh, I was called or there was some greater motivation, but that's how it really started.
Well, that's a better story than to have a calling or some external motivation. I like that one a lot. a lot of us dabbled in Bitcoin early on, and we're using it for trivial things, and it wasn't worth very much. And if we all kind of wish we had held on to those early coins for sure.
Oh, for sure. If I had a Satoshi for every private key that I lost, I would have a Bitcoin by now. It's just back in 2015, I invested in ICOs that never launched. There was really not a lot of regulation going at that point as well. So when people mention regulation as a bad thing these days, as someone who's been here with a complete lack of regulation, I would say that's a good thing. While of course it's not curbing innovation, but for sure. I mean, the initial days were crazy, and the guys who held on to their investments, yeah, we can only just look back and 2020, in hindsight.
Absolutely. A lot of crypto forums think hiring influencers to promote their projects is better than a full-scale digital marketing strategy. Can you share which approach gets best results based on your experience?
Okay, so I'm gonna position this very in an interesting way for you. All right. So if I tell you to pick a car, you're going for a race. Okay. I tell you to pick a car with an engine of a 300 horsepower, or you have another car with a horsepower of 400. Which one would you pick?
400, of course.
Right. That's a logical choice.
Yeah.
But you just picked a Ford pickup truck versus a Porsche 911. Right.
Exactly.
So the answer to that question is there's multiple dimensions when you really need to look at a problem. So if you're going into a launch with just your influencers, or with a single directional strategy, it's most likely not going to have the same kind of impact that a complete digital marketing strategy would have, which is focused on multiple channels and is also optimized for your business KPIs. So that's a question that needs experts like us or marketers in this field to really look into your product, your customer base, the KPIs for your business, and then kind of create a bigger plan and not just focus on one particular dimension.
Absolutely. Let's look at an example. A crypto brand puts up banners, promotes itself well on social media, runs a full suite digital marketing campaign, yet it still fails to attract attention. What do you think is missing?
Okay, so I believe there are 5 major things that are needed for a successful Web3 launch. So the first and the most important is a product market fit, right? So let's say you want to start out a community, or you want to build a project, you want to make an impact in the world. The first thing you really need to look at is your solution actually solving a problem? So that's what you start out with, and that's true for any business, not just Web3. So no rocket science there. Do some A/B testing, take some user feedback. Point number 2 is you need to now start building trust and credibility in the network and in your solution. So you've identified this works, but why would others know this work? In a simple, if I put that out very simply. So you at this stage need to network with partners. You need to get in credibility for yourself, work with a few media houses, get your name published. So others and other investors, as well as the community members, start trusting your brand. If I'm paying you money, I need to know if you're secure. The third is your team. Now that you've got the product market fit and you've got some credibility, you need to start deciding what kind of team do you need to build for your solution. Is it an in-house team? Is it an out? Do you want to outsource this to an agency? As well as which services would you be doing in-house and outsourcing them? So do you build your website on your own? Do you have your finance and legal with you? So it's those decisions that really matter as well. The fourth is legal and advisory, as well as finances. We've had a lot of clients that start out with a great product with amazing communities, but they falter with their own finances or they get stuck in legal troubles. And then the fifth part comes in once you've taken care of all these bases. The fifth really is the 360-degree go-to-market strategy, right? That strategy that you launch with. And it's not just social media. You need a complete digital plan directed towards your goal, which we just discussed last time around. So to answer your question, a lot of companies just directly jump to point number 5, which is an all-out marketing approach without really covering the first 4 points, which really forms the fundamentals here.
Absolutely. It looks like a lot of strategizing is involved and that you just don't want a one size fits all approach. You want something that's targeted to every one of those arenas that you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Now, in the article, you mentioned that crypto marketing hasn't evolved beyond digital marketing. What do you think's missing?
So to answer that question, we really need to look into what Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3 is, right? So think of it like this, right? Web 1, basically static websites, like a Wikipedia, right? You log into them, you get some information, that's about it. It's static. Web 2 really was where social media started picking up. So think of Facebook. You're kind of contributing to the platform. Web 3 is completely community driven. It's actually individual powered, right? So it's built on every individual and it's distributed, decentralized. So if you think of how Facebook marketed itself, how Facebook grew in the early days, it used newspaper articles. It used journalists that were talking about them on, on popular media sites. There were also talks about this new social media platform on TV. Now think about it. Why would Facebook promote itself on a newspaper? It just doesn't seem to match, right? That's what's happening in Web3 right now. So as Web2 evolved, Facebook started realizing, hey, I can actually start marketing myself on my own platform or on other online platforms. That's when Google released AdSense, which is basically Google Ads. Now you see them everywhere when you search for something. So when Web2 was evolving, it used traditional marketing to grow, and then marketing kind of caught up to it, and then we formed digital marketing. What I see in Web3 marketing right now is that we're doing the same stuff that was being done for Web2. We're marketing Web3 products on Twitter, on Telegram, on YouTube. So I feel the next level of innovation is going to be when marketing catches up to Web3 and we start marketing ourselves on Web3 platforms. So think about it. Amazon sells its products on Google, right? Or on its own marketplace. You can run Amazon ads as well. Similarly, if you're an NFT project, you should be able to run ads on OpenSea or Rarible, right? Or if you're a game, how about having some ads on a Decentraland or a Sandbox? That's where your real users are. So we're near the tipping point where you need enough user engagement on a Web3 platform for marketers to really start catching into it. And it just seems logical, right? To attract Web3 users, let's start marketing on Web3 platforms. So that shift from Web2 marketing to Web3 is what I feel is missing, but we're getting to it. We're very close to it, and we're experimenting with it at Blockwiz as well.
Now, many new startups and projects have emerged in Web3. Most of them failed to maintain their popularity after just 2 or 3 months from launch. How can startups achieve organic growth through marketing?
That's a very interesting question, right? And that's basically the $1 million question. Now, I've bootstrapped Blockwiz from the ground up. We're a 7-figure Web3 agency. And I can tell you the most important part is just listening to your customers. And it truly is. When someone used to tell me that earlier, I used to think, well, that's just generic advice. But you need to do that at every step. Is that button on your website too small? Is that color annoying to your user? Is your product quality not up to the mark, right? When you really become customer centric, that's when you start unlocking a virality effect. And no amount of marketing can solve that. As a marketer, I can tell you that. I always say this, that good marketing is the fastest way to kill a bad project. And I really mean it. So I just feel for organic, sustained growth, there's no substitute for a good product. And to build that, you can't build it on first go. You have to listen to your customers and keep iterating.
Absolutely. It's like any other creator. The content has to stand the test of whether people are going to go to that next step beyond clicking. So I guess that's the litmus test there as well. What's something that small Web3 brands lack that big brands have, which helps them outgrow their competitors?
Well, big brands have money. They have the legal prowess. They throw money at problems, basically, right? They've got distributed teams across the world. They can acquire a team whenever they want to solve a major problem or to expand in a company. Having said that, small brands have several advantages as well. You've got speed, agility. It takes too long for a big business to actually make a decision. That's where a small business can actually hit a home run and kind of reach the target before their competitor. And when you're part of a startup, especially a bootstrap startup, you have the ability and the tendency to really have a customer obsession, right? That's what I feel. Coming back to the same point about customer feedback, when you're obsessed with the customer, you know that you don't need to throw money at the problem. You need to solve the problem the right way. And another thing is you don't really need to listen to an investor every time. So you would know your customer the best. You would be faster if you've got a good team, and you can outsmart your competitor in many markets. And that's essentially how startups kind of evolve, and why a lot of them fail as well, because at times they look at their competitor, a big, uh, you know, superstar who's kind of winning in all regions, and they feel that, I mean, my team isn't good enough. But if they focus on their own strengths, which is speed, team, as well as solving the problems at hand with a core customer focus, I believe that they can actually outbid their competitors as well.
You were talking about bootstrapping it. You've bootstrapped Blockwiz from the ground up into a Web3 marketing powerhouse. What are the advantages and disadvantages did you have compared to other funded startups?
Well, there's slower growth at the start. If you're bootstrapping, there's no other way to look at it. You would be slower at the start. You would have to start with a younger team because you can't afford like $100,000 salary. You would need to do a lot of things on your own as well. You would not be able to set owners or just kind of hire a department head and say, hey, you go look after that market while I'm doing PR for myself. You have to get your hands dirty. So that's really the major disadvantage. You would also take a longer time to build credibility. So everything kind of moves a little slower. But the advantages, and the major advantage really is that you really don't need to grow that fast, right? You don't have an investor saying, I need to hit this target in 3 months. You can take your own time. You can listen to your customer. Don't throw money at problems. Solve the problems instead, and gradually build the team. And once you reach a tipping point, once you're profitable as well, you can actually then grow much faster than the funded startups because you were able to do that without any funding, right? So you were able to actually win in competitive markets the right way. So then when you are profitable and you have money, then you're going to be very cautious with it. And you're already going to be thinking about customers, ROI, and you're going to be very well versed with those terms so that once that tipping point comes into your favor, you're actually going to be unbeatable. So that's really the advantages and disadvantages that I see of bootstrapping versus being funded.
Absolutely. Great points throughout. How can small startups or creators with a low budget benefit from Blockwiz?
So I've grown a lot of startups from shoestring budgets, and it really comes down to credibility, product market fit. It's just the basics. And to put it pretty bluntly, you don't need to spend a ton on influencers. Many projects come to us thinking, even though they've got let's say they've raised funding of $1 million, right? I've had projects and founders come to me saying, I want to spend 50% of it on influencers. I think that's just crazy, right? You can't spend that amount of money on influencers or even on marketing as a whole. I would suggest a more cautious approach at the start. And as well as, just looking into ROI of every campaign that you've built. So if you run 10 activities, 8 of them don't work, it's all right. But the 2 that worked, let's spend more money towards that. So it's really about being more data centric, putting in some analysis into what's working, what's not. And when it comes to Blockwiz itself, we have a very good team of content marketers. We focus on SEO, and we really get the basics of organic marketing right. Fun fact, we get 95% of our business through SEO ourselves. So we rank on the first page for most of our keywords and in a hyper-competitive marketing agency environment. So we've been doing that for ourselves as well. And we would always suggest that for anyone on a low budget, start with organic marketing, build some credibility. And only when you have a huge campaign coming up, or you want to really, you're prepared with your product, you've got everything right, that's when you really start shelling out the big bucks.
Do you think a Web3 brand with very limited social presence can succeed in the long run?
Unlikely. Web3, as we discussed earlier, is just about community. It's powered by individuals, right? So if you've not set up a community, you don't have a key player powering your ecosystem. So I really don't think there are many examples of a Web3 project succeeding without any community. You would need either a Discord, it doesn't matter where. You could do that anonymously on Discord. You could have a huge Telegram community. You can even have a big email newsletter community. We're very big on emails ourselves, but you really need a community, not just, if not for just virality, just to tell you if you're doing a good job with your product and to get the feedback going for you.
Absolutely. Engaging them is so important. Now, from your perspective, how do you think crypto marketing will expand in the future? And what are some of the interesting changes that you saw just this year?
So the shift towards Web3 marketing is definitely going to be coming. We just need to look at the past to know our future. And just like Facebook evolved its own marketing when it was starting out, from marketing itself on newspapers to now using Google Ads and then using its own platform, you're going to have Web3 projects eventually marketing themselves on Web3 brands. So if you're an NFT creator, it's better to really showcase your NFT on an OpenSea or a Rarible marketplace than just use, let's say, Telegram or SEO or Google. So that shift is going to be coming. It's happened every time there's been a disruptive technology. As we get more number of users on Web3 platforms, we're going to get marketers targeting Web3 platforms more and more. Some of the interesting changes I've already seen are, a year ago, Discord used to be this, very esoteric community of, only the OGs, as well as just, you can't really get sustained growth for your project on Discord alone. Now I see Discord being one of the primary verticals for growth. So we worked with the project Immutable X, one of the biggest names in the NFT space in 2021. They're building like a layer 2 protocol of NFTs. $1 billion project, huge and amazing team. They've got a Discord group that they used, and we helped them power it as well. We were the ones marketing it as well as managing it. There were 20,000 daily messages on their Discord during their launch. Now, imagine the power of the community as well as any investor looking into that, right? So there's already changes happening towards that. And that's actually what got them the most amount of success. And it's powered through even during the bear market, because your community is still there. They're not going to leave you unless there's something really drastic or a rug pull. But that really is the core of it. And I see that shift happening already.
Awesome. Let's turn now to our rapid fire questions, where we'd like a 3 to 5 second response to about 4 questions. Okay, here we go. What is a marketing strategy that grabbed your attention in the Web3 space?
So I'll talk about crypto. I think KuCoin has been really doing good stuff, as well as Paxful. They've been doing something unconventional, which is SEO, search engine optimization, right? So they're getting organic visitors, doing old school digital marketing, which really is contradictory to everything we're seeing in Web3. So that was really interesting to me.
What are your predictions on Bitcoin prices in 2023?
Ooh, that's a tough one. While this is not financial advice, I do think the bear market is the best time to really go and invest something you can afford to lose. In terms of predictions, well, we should be hitting 50,000 at least. I don't see an all-time high coming this year, just due to the macroeconomics and everything happening in the world. But yeah, I'd put my money on 50K for sure. Not financial advice.
All right. Again, no financial advice, but what are the top 3 crypto coins in your wallet and why?
Oh, wow. Okay. Bitcoin for sure, Ethereum and Matic.
What will Web3 look like in the next decade, in your opinion?
It'll look exactly the same way. I feel that it's going to just have more people, more regulation, but the overall feel as well as the overall agility as well as the speed and the hype, I wish that doesn't die down. So my answer is actually going to be, I wish it looks the same way, because right now it's the new kid in the block. It's where everyone's pouring in their money as well, including investors. It's where people are finding new jobs. Young talent is attracted to this industry more than ever. So I hope it looks the same way in the next decade.
Absolutely. It's where the energy is at. Finally, you're an inspiring entrepreneur in the crypto space. What message would you like to give our NFT Studio 24 viewers, Web3 developers, stakeholders, and aspiring NFT artists?
Well, we're in a very interesting time. I kind of look at this as the Web3 world right now is comparable to what the internet was back in the 90s. So if you're a developer, if you're an intern, if you're still studying, if you're an entrepreneur, think of that opportunity. It's a very unique time in the market as well as the world, where creators are given more opportunity than big businesses. And I feel that in a decade or so, we're going to be looking back at 2020 as the decade where we really innovated the most towards the creator economy. So everything that you're building, everything that you're working at or working for in a company is something that is building the future. So I just want to give out that message. That's something I believe in passionately, and I feel in a decade or so, we're going to be looking at this as the same way we looked at internet back in the 90s.
Exactly, exactly. Today, we look at what Jeff Bezos did. In 10 years from now, I think we're going to be looking at what Dev Sharma did.
Well, I hope so. That's the plan.
Absolutely, my friend. We appreciate you joining us here today on NFT Studio 24. And to our viewers at home, don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to NFTstudio24.com for more exclusive content. Dev, thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Logan.
And I'm Logan Crawford. Until next time.